No,
What
we're
up,
not.
virtual people? Welcome to the 107th episode of VCR Redux, where we take your favorite franchises out of the analog era and bring them back to 2023. I'm your host, pop culture punk Chris Stiles, joined as always by my co-host with the most, film professor Ian Klink.
How you doing, everybody?
And we have two radical guests on the show tonight. First up, and finally back after a long time away from the VCR, one half of the creative genius behind Retro Fiend Radio, makers of the finest canon and martial arts docs on the internet. Dustin Nino is back on the show.
What up, everyone?
Return of the Nino.
The Nino.
I mean, Street Fighter. I thank you. You couldn't.
We
pick
could
a better
not
movie
do this
having
without
that,
you.
Right.
This would just
Yes.
be D'Souza,
Right.
Van Damme. Come on, what
Right.
are we even doing here, folks?
If
We
we're
can't
and
do
of
without
course-
you, but the world could do without this movie. Anyway. all right.
Oh man, is
I
Ian
died.
finally going to come down against a movie in a way that is just and true? We will
Actually,
find out.
surprisingly, no. But stay tuned.
We will find out after this intro break. And also, finally back on the show after a long stint away. Not as long as Dustin's, though. From
Not
New
as
Jersey
long
based-
as your intros, Chris.
Not as long as your... Yeah, I don't know. I got nothing.
rants.
Yeah, not as long as your fart references. But from New Jersey-based bands Night
Don't
Lover, Honey
gaslight
Red,
me.
and Crash Romeo, the latter of which's newest music video, Your Name Here, is available on YouTube now. Steven Zangief Anderson is back on the show.
Hi, I'm back
Uh,
by popular demand, I assume.
Dustin and Steven. I don't even have to talk. Just let these guys just do
There's
their
an
thing.
all-star, yeah, all-star lineup. You guys are in the shotgun seats today. Me and Ian are going to be on cruise control, which is where this franchise probably should have been. But in case you haven't figured it out, we are here today to Chung Lee. Oh, excuse me, I fucked that up. We are here today to Wang Chung Lee, take it to the streets, and put your mouth where your Balrog is. That's right, folks. It's time for Street Fighter 2 Van Damage, and we're here to give it to you. But before you tell me cocaine had no effect whatsoever on Van Damme's career, we have to talk about how
Wow.
Street Fighter came into our lives and what we love about it. And of course, that includes everyone watching the live chat as well. The Love at First Laserdisc, Vital VHS, hit us up in the chat and let us know how you first Street Fighted. So, Dustin, do you remember the first time you watched the Steven D'Souza masterpiece that is
Yeah,
Street Fighter,
Fighter.
the movie?
Never
Yes.
have those words ever been put together in a sentence
Yes.
across the entire internet until this moment.
Not even in
Yeah.
print.
Right. And AI couldn't even put that together until now. So
Chat
Listen,
GPT broken
yeah.
inside.
right, exactly. Steven says, "How's a Street Fighter great movie?" What?
The 1994 film, Steven D'Souza. Yeah, exactly.
exactly. I saw this in the theater with my friend who lived next door, and yeah, I don't know, we were fairly disappointed. I mean, just in the sense of like,
What to be? I mean, I assume I always assume that we're close to the same age. Maybe you're a little bit younger than me.
yeah.
How old were
Yeah.
you in the theater roughly when you saw it?
Well, when did it come out? 94.
94. Yeah,
So I was 10, 92, 3. I was 12.
you were 12. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, so we're
12,
about
yeah.
very
So,
close in age.
Yeah, huge Street Fighter fan, huge martial arts nut fan, huge Van Damme fan. You know, the issue was it just wasn't there. For me at the time, it had nowhere near as many Van Damme fight scenes as I wanted in the movie. It was like slightly peppered throughout the beginning, and then the end you got some slightly cool.
Well, yeah,
stuff,
it's like an hour and 10 minutes in before there's any street
Right.
fighting. Yeah,
exactly.
There's no
Yeah,
fighting and there's
yeah, fair
almost
enough.
no streets. There's very little streets in the
Right.
film.
They
That's
actually
true.
literally
Enough.
come into the movie saying, "Well, you're off the streets,"
Right.
and you're like, "What?" What?
Oh, okay, my bad.
the
Then
streets.
they're good. Then they checked it off. They said the word street, so then it's all
Okay.
good. All
But they
streets
say
are
they're
good.
off the street. It's like literally,
Yeah.
you come to Street Fighter,
They're
like, "Well,
off
we're
the
off the
street.
streets of fighting."
Right.
Like what?
Right. We're in.
Hey,
wet
hey, I like
markets,
this movie, Wizard of
and,
Oz.
Right. Yeah.
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 Congratulations, you're not in Oz. You're in
Right.
Flipper. Like what? That
Right.
makes no sense.
There's
Yeah,
no
it's
odds
like-
for the first hour and a half of this movie, but
It's like I feel like they're either in some sort of wet market or an industrial military complex, like underground thing, and that's really like the two set pieces.
Oh yeah. It's his big warehouse, and then
Yeah, they built like one big set, and they were like, God damn it, we're gonna shoot in this thing every which way you can.
I pretty much feel in the 1990s, if you owned a factory, your second thing after OSHA was to go get a producer. Like,
oh sure,
hey,
right?
I've got a factory. Do you want to film in it? Yes.
Right.
Like,
Sure.
I mean, really, truthfully, like every factory has a movie filmed in it. Like,
right, exactly. And every factory worker stoked to have some director come along and offer them money for them to do nothing.
Oh,
I mean,
oh yeah, sure, right? Yeah.
You want to come here on weekends and nights when we're closed? Like, fine,
right, exactly. Yeah.
Pay me money when I normally just have the lights off. All right, great, sweet deal.
So I remember just walking out of the theater and just being like totally disappointed because like really I think what me and everyone else was expecting was Enter the Dragon, but just with Street Fighter, and
you had to wait another year for a video game movie that would be exactly that. But
right, yeah, exactly. Like Mortal Kombat. I wanted Mortal Kombat, but just with and the shitty thing was, Van Damme ate up all the budget for all the actors, so he was the only big name actor they could really have in that movie, and so there was no other person that they could put in there that even remotely resembled some other martial artist, and it was just like what,
or even a character from the game.
I think that was, probably that's probably their first mistake, but we'll get into that.
Right,
we'll get into that. Yeah,
but they matched the haircuts,
sort of.
Right, yeah,
kind of ish.
Because like if there's kid movies that came out at the time that are successful, it's like you often hear the story of the director, the producer, the writer, or whatever. What made this movie successful, and it was I asked my 10-year-old kid this and that, and he told me this and that about that franchise, and really told us what we needed to know. It felt like they never asked any 10-12-year-old anything while making this movie, and I felt like, dude, if they asked me, I would kind of fix this fucking movie at 12 years old. I could have just, you know what I mean? Like they would have just asked a kid that was into Street Fighter and these type of Van Damme movies. They could have easily fixed this fucking movie. And they
well, we normally don't fix the older original movies, but I'd be curious to hear before we get to pitch time how young Nino would have fixed up this movie, because I think there's 1,000 different directions you can go. And almost any one would have been better than the one that they went with.
Right. In my head, it's just simple. It's having just name every martial artist of the time that you could think of that was in a movie. Don the Dragon Wilson, Cynthia Rothrock. You could go down the list. Mark Dacascos. Mark Dacascos. Yeah, exactly. And throw them in wherever you want to put them in the role. Whatever role you want to put them in, and then just make it a fucking tournament style. You make Bison like Han from fucking Enter the Dragon, and that's
Dolph Lundgren's fucking Ken back in the day.
Perfect.
Probably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or if you have to you can't afford Dolph, because you got someone else that ate up too much, budget like Van Damme, get Sven or Thorson,
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too, is like they let it get out of hand, like Capcom and all these, they really should.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that for sure.
We'll get into that.
Fascinating
for sure.
Story. Yeah.
Right, and it just sucks because it's like I feel like there was enough money for everyone. There's enough pizza pie for everyone to get a slice, and it was just greed and cocaine sunk it, and it's like it was such a slow pitch movie to be successful with. Franchise written all over the board, you know what I mean? Like if it was handled properly, it could have really been done successfully. And I just feel like leaving that theater, I was like, motherfucker.
Yeah, it could have been done. Could have been done like how they did Mortal Kombat. Easily.
Exactly.
Yeah,
simple,
which was great.
Simple.
Yeah, simple,
right?
Simple and
right. Don't
give you what you want.
Yeah, exactly, and make it cool. Make it different within that, and that's what they did, and that was fun. The fuck, man,
could not agree more.
Yeah.
So how did young Steven come into the Street Fighter the movie?
I remember.
Theaters?
No. Weirdly enough, I remember being at like a sleepover. This kid.
Oh
yeah. And I remember the guy's name. It's our friend from elementary school, Ichiro Saratsuchi's house, right? And the kid loved Street Fighter. Loved the game.
Okay.
Played the game a whole bunch, and then he's like, well, "We should watch the fucking movie." I was like, "Absolutely, we should watch this movie." I remember being bored then. Like, like I remember being bored then,
Right.
and just to make sure, 20 odd years later, we threw it on the other night, and yeah, no, it's a
It's
a
bad.
slog. It's a slog.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, it's rough.
It is a rough one. Ironically, you know, it took me a while to come to that conclusion, but we'll get there. I want to know how young Iowa Ian stumbled upon this great film, this masterpiece.
So I know I've talked about this before, but it was Slagle's Pharmacy that had a VHS collection in the front of the pharmacy, and you know, and what I remember is they didn't have an alphabetical order. They didn't have it in like where they. It's like whenever the movie came in, they just shifted movies down. You know, like
okay.
You know,
It's just
so
like chaos.
Like, well, yeah, it's like at the bottom was like the films that came in 1984, and then like 94 was like top left. You know, they just literally shifted whatever movie down.
Right.
And tell me, I'm not okay. Nowhere to Run. Did it come around the same time?
Roughly.
Yeah, that would make
They're
sense.
both 94.
Okay, so I remember
maybe Nowhere to Run was 93, maybe.
So I remember Nowhere to Run and Street Fighter were close to each other.
Okay.
And I remember like renting both at the same time.
Double
It was
the
like
damage. Nice.
It was like a Van Damage weekend. It's like Nowhere to Run, and then Street Fighter. And doggone it, I don't think it's the worst Van Damage movie. All right. I actually don't, but
Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying it's not.
You know, you may
worst of its
have a
kind.
point there. He did some real pieces of shit in like the late 90s, like Maximum Risk and things like that, you know.
I enjoyed that much more than this.
Yeah, at the same point too,
Sudden
Van
Death,
Damme's pretty
Double Team.
terrible in this.
Knock off.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
that's my only issue.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He's pretty awful in this. Yeah,
he's so fucked up in it. You could tell.
Yeah, you can tell.
Well, it's like this
Yeah.
movie. This movie is the same as the Dark Knight Rises. You know, I want some Batman in my Batman movies. I want some Van Damage in my Van Damage movie. Like I want him in there. Stop showing me, you know, Johnny Hollywood Part 2. Stop showing me. I mean, I love Wes Studi, but like, come on.
Not as
gotta be the worst work he's ever done, though, and not to his fault.
No,
not that it's his fault, but this is just.
Sir, have you seen Heat?
I love Blood and Blood Out. Damien Joppa. Holy shit.
Oh
Nico,
yeah,
bro.
Seriously, I take a lot of fucking I take a lot of sins off of this movie because they have Damien Chapa, I'm like, all right. Fucking Blood in, Blood Out.
Damien Chapa, but should not have been cast as Ken in this movie.
Yeah,
in my
no,
opinion. I mean,
I don't know. If
I loved it when I was 10, though.
Right.
I loved it when I was 10 because I was like, that's the fucking dude from Blood in, Blood Out.
Yeah. I was tripping out as I'm like, what the fuck is Miklo playing Ken for? Like, I remember me and my friend just laughing our ass off. What the fuck is this, dude?
That dude has got an amazing career trajectory, though. To go from like Blood in, Blood Out, Street Fighter the movie, and then he played one of the fucking Menendez brothers, like right around that time.
Yeah, he was in
a made-for-TV movie. Say it again.
Right, he was in Under Siege as well, which was
that's right. He was in Under Siege. Yeah, that's right.
I haven't been under for a minute.
He's like one of those guys that probably has got like 10,000 great stories. You just like, oh shit, dude.
Oh god, yeah. There needs to be a Blood in, Blood Out con somewhere. I would go every year.
Oh yeah,
that's a movie
incredible. That really
it's called Watts.
Right. That's a movie everyone's been clamoring for some sort of sequel to. You know.
Oh god, we gotta let us know in the comments if you want Blood in, Blood Out too, because I would be so down for that.
Oh yeah,
I would champion the fuck out of that as a VCR episode,
dude.
Just saying, folks.
Yeah,
I know we did get some requests. We got requests before the show even went live in the chat again for Nutty Professor 3, which we should do. It's a
I'm game on that one.
I'm so game on that. That's fun. I would have never thought to do that, but as soon as I thought, I was like, oh, you know what? That would actually be great. But at any rate, what movie are we doing here tonight? Street Fighter, right? Yeah,
that's it. Yep. Ian, you rented
that's
it.
The one.
You rented both these movies together. That's where you left.
Yeah, no, it's I got. Look, the 90s. I have all, as a teacher, I have all these kids who are wearing like all these shirts, all these Nirvana, Rugrats, all that t-shirts and stuff like that. And they think the 90s were the coolest thing ever. And I honestly tell them, like, you all don't understand. They actually were cool. Like the 90s were actually a really cool time. The technology was just enough that, you didn't have to play a cassette. You had a CD. It worked, but you didn't have a home computer. So you weren't just stuck on the computer all day long. You didn't have your phone. You actually had to go outside and actually see streetlights. Like the 90s were a cool doggone place. And so
and these kids don't know, right?
They just don't. They just don't. And here's,
I mean, it makes sense to me, why connect with your students when you could just shame them instead? I'm joking.
If they did their homework, fine. So, but like, you could go to like Slagle Video Store. And I could rent Nowhere to Run, and nobody was like, "Oh, sir, you're too young."
Street Fighter, Ian. We're talking about Street Fighter.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying, like, I rented Nowhere to Run, and it should have been like, you can't rent that.
Okay.
Street
All
Fighter,
right.
the movie that makes you want to talk about blood in, blood out, and Nowhere to Run.
It connects. But I'm saying, but I rented them both at the same time, and I remember liking Nowhere to Run more, obviously. But here's why. It's not a game. No, not even that. I mean, you see more Van Damme butt than you do, Arquette.
Well, to be fair, that's part of the brand, Ian.
Well, you don't see Van Damage butt in Street Fighter, but
it's a PG movie.
I'm not a gamer, and that's what I think why I couldn't connect as well with the movie, because I didn't play Street Fighter, I didn't play Killer Instinct,
Turns out this movie has very little to do with any video game.
Yeah, so there was no like game fan service there to be had.
The only fan service they seem to throw in is they made sure to put in every single character.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
and we'll get into that, but it's one of those things where like every time they show up, it's like, hey, that's a guy from the game.
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is the name Dawson. That's a guy from the
I want
game.
that boy Chris to just say that. Every time the green guy shows up, the Hulk ripoff guy. Like, hey, it's that guy.
Worst practical makeup ever. I'm pretty sure ever. That makes the Wookiees from the Star Wars Holiday Special look perfect by comparison.
Whose makeup? Blanca's? Is that what you're talking
about? Yeah.
Blanca's makeup is awful. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
He literally looks like Lou Ferrigno just like stepped in on the set.
He does,
right.
Oh, he looks like a small version of Lou Ferrigno. They didn't get anybody that was any bigger.
Yeah, like a bad Lou Ferrigno knockoff stunt double who also thought, I'm gonna take this and make it look a little bit more like a troll doll.
Yeah,
it looks like a child cosplaying as Lou Ferrigno's.
I was gonna say, it looks like the guy who goes to the mall that says it's Lou Ferrigno and tricks the kid.
No,
but it's just really a guy in like a suit.
When Jason Takes Manhattan, when like it shows like young Jason and it's like the recasted baby boy Jason swimming through the water, and he, the sewage comes on him, he turns back into the kid again. That's sort of what it looks like. The weird mongoloid kid from Takes Manhattan.
Oh,
painted him green. Like 10 years later, or 5 years later, he grew up into that, and they painted him green and called it a day.
Right.
And a gem, and a gem, freaking gem in the rock stones, wig.
Yeah, it was
Gem in the Rockstones.
Gem in the
holograms?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah. Okay, Grandpa, let's get you
whatever.
to bed.
No, because you watch Gem. You were like there every Saturday, Chris. Shut up. You were watching Captain Power just like the rest of us. So
Chris cosplays weirdly enough as Gem from Gem and the Holograms.
Captain Power. First of all, Captain Power is incredible, and I assume that because
Captain Power,
that you're talking about Captain Planet and not Captain Power.
No, I'm talking about Captain Power with
the gun. You shoot the gun at the TV show.
Yeah, and the TV screen flashed. Yeah, don't come after me about Captain Power, sir.
Well, I'm just
anything not to talk about Street Fighter, huh, guys?
Anything, right? Yeah, we're 20 minutes in. We haven't even gotten to like how the fuck I saw this movie.
Well, I'm just saying. Okay, but again, I don't think this is the worst game movie adaptation out there. And I don't think it's the worst Van Damage.
No, it's not. I mean,
it's not
compared
the
to Double
greatest.
Dragon. Compared to Double Dragon, this is a fucking Oscar-winning
Double Dragon
film.
was a turd. That
Yeah.
I agree, but I think it's because, like I said, there's not enough Van Damme-age. Like Double Impact, Van Damme through the whole movie. Nowhere to Run, Van Damme, whole movie. But Street Fighter, it's like I don't care about these other two guys, you know, freaking, you know, look. I don't care about these two guys. Like I want
Ken and Ryu. So you're talking about?
yeah, like I don't care that they went to jail. I don't care about
these guys. What were their names?
See,
That's what I'm saying. I don't care. Like
Ben
I want
and-
Van Damme, and I'm obviously something happened during this movie with Van Damme. What happened? Like what's the
Cocaine happened. A lot of
Yeah.
I mean,
A lot of cocaine.
cocaine happened. A lot of toy company
cocaine happened to
interference, a lot
Tom.
of-
You know, cocaine happened to all of them, but some of those movies turned out good in the 90s.
But this was
They say at
10,000
this point his cocaine habit was literally 10 grand a day.
Yeah. No, a week.
Oh,
a week.
I
that
heard a
makes
day.
that makes way
They said
more
a day,
sense.
yeah.
No. A week makes way more
A
sense.
week.
I mean,
Yeah.
here's the thing:
Depends, like-
10 grand a day makes sense if you have 50 friends and you're traveling cocaine circus and you're
Yeah, yeah.
supplying
Oh,
cocaine
yeah.
for all of them.
All right.
Fair
Then
enough.
10 grand a
10
day makes sense.
yeah.
And if you
But
have a bunch of seedy pieces of shit around you, which
Yeah.
you might, if you're in
But
the
if it's-
10 grand a day on cocaine,
Yeah.
you know,
he's on the
zip
he's on
code.
the set
tax
flapping
bracket.
that cocaine
Listen.
like Jack Nicholson from The Departed. Like
It was him, Kylie Minogue, held up in the hotel room doing blow for God knows how long, barely coming to set.
good.
I mean,
God.
Yep.
Just
I mean, why, you know, on one hand, it's like, why would you, I guess?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
There's a lot
I'll tell
of
you
evidence
why,
in this
because-
movie, you know,
Because Raul Julia was there all the time, muscling through it, and that
Yeah.
while
guy,
he was fucking dying.
Listen,
too.
yeah,
Like-
listen. Can I just say real quick? I know we got to get to you,
Yeah.
Chris, seeing this, but I just want to say that Raul Julia's performance, rewatching this, was actually a treat, because I didn't really remember his performance watching it. It's been a while since I've seen it again. And
It's
holy
funny. I've
shit,
completely
was it really
180'd on
funny.
the movie. And
Yeah.
I didn't like it when I was a kid. And now it's one of the only things I like about the movie. But
yeah,
No, that is the best part about the movie is Raul Julia, his dialogue, all the shit about fucking, you know, he's like, what's so wrong? I just want to build a food court for Bisonopolis.
somehow,
Food court.
He
You know?
understood
Yeah, the food court.
he was in.
and
Exactly,
not
yes.
only that, not only is he the only one who really figured out what the movie was, he's also somehow, despite being the guy who's fucking dying and should be at home with his family, he's the only one having fun in this fucking
Right.
movie.
Right.
Everyone
right.
else is like giving these miserable
Mm.
sourpuss performances. Like, it's something you don't pick up on when you're a little kid, but just like,
Yeah.
ugh, no one seems happy to be in this movie at
No.
all. At
No.
fucking all.
Yeah.
Although, you know, again, I'll get to you know, how I discovered this masterpiece of shit in just a minute. I do want to catch up with the chat though. Looks like it went okay. I'm
What's
just
up,
scrolling
everyone?
back here, trying to find the beginning of it. Who's in the chat today? We got Angie Saunders, Monica Thyman, Miyagi-Do Forever, Alex
Angie,
Bonafonte,
Miyagi-Do.
Sylvia Wayman, Oscar Toronzo, Xandra Mars, Gold's Code. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. So there's a lot of love for Dustin and Retro Fiend, a lot of Hadoukens in the chat.
this is how our
Um,
audience looks like. All these people.
Yeah, right.
Oscar Toronzo says, started with Super Nintendo and arcades. My love for this franchise movie was the bomb. Van Damme, Kylie Minogue, Raul Julia, who sadly was suffering from stomach cancer and died after this movie. And yes, even before it came out. A lot of love for Raul Julia's performance, and justly so. Gold's Code, I was a Street Fighter fan since Street Fighter 2, Super Hyper Fighting Turbo Rainbow Klink Nino edition.
Yeah.
Let's see, some love for my long
what
intros
came
in the
first?
chat.
Was it Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter?
Street Fighter came
Street
first.
Fighter.
Street Fighter.
Street Fighter
yeah.
did come first. Okay, yeah. All right.
So the greatest thing, Gold's Code, the greatest thing about this movie is the 90s thing of connecting all the little TVs to make one giant TV in Bison's control room. I loved it. It was like a video store special, and that was probably such a pain in the ass to do
Oh yeah.
back in the day.
That is
Yeah.
in so many movies that reflect the future and what the future is going to look like.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
It really
having
is. Yeah.
20 different
And
TVs,
also so many movies that
right.
reflect like wealth and power. That like,
Right,
you know, even if it was
right.
present day, they'd have a guy who has that in his fucking office
Mhm.
somewhere.
I have all the money in the
Yeah.
world. I want to see black stripes throughout 7 TVs.
Right, exactly. All right.
So Gold's Code with a not a Street Fighter pitch, but it says he doesn't want Shadaloo. he wants his pork chop, blood in, blood out too, for cheap times. And there is quite a bit of love for blood in, blood out in the chat. Also, the fact that this stream could be about anything other than Street Fighter, of course.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway,
here's an interesting thought. Here's in the chat. The Scorpion Sea. Sorry. Hey, at Fandom Spotlight, I always thought it was a huge mistake that Dolph Lundgren did not star as Guile in the first Street Fighter movie. Huge missed opportunity. Guile was based on him. I did not know that Guile was based on him.
Snap.
But man, that's as soon as you say it, it's like a light bulb went off. Like, fuck,
wow.
Yeah. It should have been Guile, not
way more
Ken.
sense. Yeah.
And they would have saved.
He was Ken, but in my mind, I was
money.
thinking of him for Ken.
Yeah,
but
they would have saved way more money. Yeah,
would have saved so much money. You could have populated the rest of the cast with, like, some more respectable names or fight. Like, think about this. Okay, let's start dreamcasting now. The '90s one. Dolph Lundgren as Guile. Michael Jai White as Balrog. Come on, it's fucking perfect.
Okay,
fucking money. Mark Dacascos or Don the Dragon as Ryu.
Don the Dragon in anything. Give me Don.
Who could have been Dudikoff as fucking Ken? God damn it. We're just knocking this out of the park.
I'll take Don the Dragon in, like, Driving Miss Daisy. Like, I'll watch that version of that movie.
Who's
I want
casted...
someone driving the dragon now at this point.
Who's casted perfectly though? That I don't know the actor's name, but whoever played Zangief did a fantastic job.
Yeah,
he's played
Andrew Brynjarski. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's perfect in that role.
He does look like the thing right out of the page. But so I'll get to my discovery of this movie. I was like 10 or 11 whenever it came out on VHS. I didn't get to see it in theaters, but I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that I absolutely loved it when I was a kid, and I have such 90s nostalgia for it. Van Damme was my dude, more than Seagal. Especially at that point in time, he was like above Schwarzenegger and Stallone and Seagal and like all those dudes. I was a Van Damme fan. So I had like that Universal box set, that VHS box set that came with like Time Cop, fucking Sudden Death, Lionheart, and I think Street Fighter. I think those were the 4 movies or whatever it was.
Lionheart is more of a Street Fighter movie than freaking Street Fighter.
Bloodsport is also more. Kickboxer is more. Like, these movies all feel more like Street Fighter to me. Now, the ultimate problem of what happened with this movie is that, and I hate to like blow anyone's minds if you're a big fan of the movie, but it's not a Street Fighter movie at all. It's a G.I. Joe movie. It's literally the first G.I. Joe movie. They just didn't call it G.I. Joe. Hasbro put money into this because they thought if they got it out for the Christmas season, they could have toys. As long as you got Van Damme, they just pushed for all these things. And Steven D'Souza, to his credit, the great writer and director of Commando, said to them, I love this game. I know, I get it, but we can only have 7 characters because 7 is the maximum number of things you can have in your mind and that you can keep in your brain at once. And I think he was absolutely right. And to prove his point, he actually challenged the executives in the room to name 7 characters from Star Wars. And of course, they couldn't do it. And most things, I bet you couldn't name 7 characters from. But they kept stuffing it in, like after draft, they'd be like, hey, there's a guy on this scene who answers the phone and gives it to Colonel Guile. Couldn't that be like T-Hawk? Couldn't his name be T-Hawk? And eventually Steven D'Souza was just like, fine, whatever. And then the next draft, they'd be like, hey, you have T-Hawk in this scene. Can't he come over here in this scene and do this too now? Like,
well, that's funny because half the characters are so close to looking like and resembling the game, and the other half are so far off that that makes a lot of sense. That tracks.
And also just like just as bad as like any of the casting whiffs may have been, which again I don't blame the cast really hardly at all, but it's just like the writing is just so, they give them nothing, like absolutely nothing to play or work with. And like as an actor, it just, I can understand why no one else is having fun. Raul Julia gets to improv and scream game over at the top of his lungs on a fucking platform,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Everyone else is just like, I'm here to give exposition in this one scene.
Right. Everyone else is just exposition dialogue. I was cracking up at T-Hawk's exposition dialogue where they're sneaking along the wall and he's like, hey T-Hawk, what are you doing here? And he's like, I thought you were whatever the fuck their whole thing. He's like, I'm actually Cherokee and blah blah blah, and then my people, and then then they kill that dude. I'm like, it's all voiceover fucking exposition. They cut in there real quick. They're like, we need their backstory in 5 seconds, and then he's out of the picture for the rest of the fucking time.
So,
to add to the. Oh, I'm sorry, Steve.
Oh, no. You go ahead.
I was gonna say to add to the '90s casting, and I know Ian would like this. If we're recasting the movie, and I hate to take away from Raul Julia because he's like the one actor who crushes it in this, really. But actually, I think Brian Thompson would have been a great Bison in the '90s.
Oh, Brian Thompson, anything. He would have been a great Blanca too.
Yeah.
Well, he's got that jaw. He's got that like cartoonishly chiseled jaw.
Give me anything with Brian Johnson. I'll take My Dinner with Andre starring Brian Thompson. Like, who did I say? No, wait. Who am I? I mixed him with Brad Johnson. Sorry, that's my bad. But Brian Thompson, like, seriously, talk about politics. Give me Brian Thompson.
The way of the world.
Yeah, that would have been good. That would have been really good.
Pig!
Oh,
Cobra Pig!
And it's ironic that he would wind up in Mortal Kombat Annihilation and be terrible as the arch villain of that film.
Because that's his fault. Because that's his fault. That movie.
That wasn't.
Well, of course, yeah. We talked about that one.
Would you rather watch that movie than this movie?
I would rather watch Street Fighter than Annihilation. At least this movie's bright to look at. Like,
I'd rather watch Street Fighter than Mortal Kombat 2 Annihilation as well. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That might be the worst.
Have any of you guys seen the recently released Blu-ray of?
It's not a bad movie, but do imagine if we got Dolph Lundgren. This would be. You probably would remember this
immediately. And it would have been perfect for Dolph at the time too, because it had been like a few years after Universal Soldier.
It's funny that you guys are both picking two guys. I mean, this guy's supposed to be like the ultimate representation
of America,
of America, and the fucking with the American flag tattoo, and it's two guys that can barely speak English. Yeah,
right.
Well, then fucking Dudikoff. I go back to Dudikoff.
No, I don't.
Joe Armstrong is Guile. I don't know. They claim it's based on Dolph. It's got to be partially based on Dudikoff too. He is American
early
Ninja.
90s, Michael Dudikoff could have been easily Guile. That would have been.
Oh, that would have been good. Yeah, that would have been.
That would have been. Sick.
Yeah, I thought originally Michael Dudikoff is Ken, but if you got Dolph as Guile, then if you don't have Dolph as Guile, that because he's not American enough. I'll tell you what though, he played an American in Universal Soldier, and it's the best acting of his career. I don't care what anyone says. He's amazing in Universal Soldier as Sergeant Andrew Scott, the fucking PTSD racked Vietnam vet.
Well, again, I would have loved him more than like I said before, Van Damme is absolutely dog shit in this movie for whatever reason.
It's probably his worst performance because if he would have tried, it could have gone a long way towards helping this movie. If he cared about this half as much as he cared about Bloodsport when he was young and hungry. If he would have been there in the editing room and been there working on the script and done all this stuff, working on the scenes, the fight scenes. I mean, like you go like an hour and 10, 15 minutes in the movie, there's like almost no fighting. There's no complete fight scene.
So like
there's like a little
game...
like 1-2 move. Over.
It just all gets interrupted and dragged on. So the game essentially is just like it's just like a combat competition in different parts of the world.
Yeah, it's a tournament.
It's a tournament.
Around. And you fly around.
So
exactly.
This movie is about a dictator, kidnapping and wanting to build a mall. Is that right? Like he wants to build a mall.
He wanted to improve Shadowloo.
Right.
I mean, look how shitty it is. He wanted to build.
But then, for whatever reason, takes on 60 hostages and demands $20 billion.
Yeah, that was probably where
I do.
That's probably where the mall thing went to.
If you look at the credit, two things that I love about the credits. So if you watch, one is it says based on Street Fighter 2, like specifically, like not one, but Street Fighter 2.
Something about this has always fascinated me. The history of the games are just as interesting as the cocaine history and studio interference history of the movie. But like Street Fighter 2, it's clearly like the favorite son of the franchise. This is the one that you think the kid that's going to be president someday when he grows up, right? Street Fighter 2, we love this. We did Street Fighter 2 Hyper, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Street Fighter 2 Alpha, Street Fighter 2 The Zone, there's so many variants of Street Fighter 2, Super Street Fighter 2. It was like years and years before they ever tried Street Fighter 3. Like, I don't know, we've had so much luck with the number 2 here. Let's just keep the number 2 in it every time.
What a weird thing.
It's so strange. Yeah. And then Street Fighter 1, you would think they would be like, this is the game that launched it all, our firstborn, blah, blah. No, they act like that never even fucking happened.
I don't remember seeing Street Fighter 1. I really
came out it came out in America for the TurboGrafx CD, which was released and around the world as the NEC oh god, what the fuck? The Power PC. The PC Engine, I'm sorry. But it was this, an add-on for an obscure video game system, and it was mostly called Fighting Street, actually, and not even Street Fighter. But I was obsessed with this game. I thought it was great. So when Street Fighter 2 came out, I was like, oh, I get this. They've like improved upon this original game. Or so I
see
thought.
what you all did.
Yeah, but it's just so weird. It almost had that like T2 thing where like T2 was so big, you felt like the longest time that they would just never move. They did like T2 comic books and T2 this and T2 3D, T2 the ride, and it's like, man, they ever just gonna give us fucking Terminator 3? We had to wait like 12 years, but eventually we got it.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
But I would rather watch. I'll give a little credit to Street Fighter the movie, because I would rather watch Street Fighter the movie than Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines. Put you that way.
Yeah. So, I'm with you there on that one too.
In those terms, I guess.
That's so random. Like, what?
Oh,
I'd rather watch.
I just saw this in the chat here. Scorpion C. Jason Scott Lee, who played Bruce Lee in Dragon, would have been a perfect Ryu. Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
he would have been amazing.
Yeah,
I would have loved that. Yeah. Who would have been a Vega? Who's the pretty boy that should have been Vega?
We get his great performance in Balls of Fury.
Right?
Yeah.
Damn it.
See, like
Banderas.
Yeah, Antonio Banderas would have been a great Vega. Yeah. That's perfect.
Oh God, yeah, that would be fucking great.
Do you remember playing the video game like Street Fighter 2 in the arcade and just having discussions with other kids about the lore of the characters, like the background?
Oh, sure,
Charlie,
like trying to figure out the
Guile.
backstory,
right. And other people would have like, where the fuck they would have more knowledge about the. Oh, did you know that they served together? And but like, whoa, no, how'd you, And it's like
nerds
chat about
that shit just always felt like kids making shit up. Though
I was gonna say, in retrospect, that was probably
right. And the crazier the story you heard, the more you wanted to believe it. And like, that was one of the first games I remember just like wondering, being obsessed with like the background information of the characters and what they were.
When I hear that, all I can think of is that the Simpsons are genius for comic book guy, because that voice is everything I ever hear.
Yeah. Well,
I only sign petitions to bring back old shows on DVD. This world needs the wisdom of Herman's head now more than ever.
It was Spider Street. Thank you.
Spider Street.
Worst Street Fighter
ever.
Actually, Blanca was named Carlos and served with Guile.
I love that he puts that together. He adds
Rigno actually got very upset and sued the company. Is that true? I do not know.
I love in the movie where he just jumps A to D with that, where he goes, "Don't worry, Charlie, I'm coming for you." And he looks at this thing, and what does it say? Carlos? He's like,
Carlos.
Charlie.
Carlos.
Hey, what a dick move. Like,
yeah, I know.
Hey,
fucking
Charlie. Hey, you, Charlie. I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
Which one of y'all dumbasses are Charlie?
I would have never put that together, though. I never would have been like Carlos.
Charlie. Yeah.
And I'll tell you one thing, you son of a bitch, Bison. Don't kill my friend Charlie, who's in the third row in the back. I can see.
Yeah.
He's got the green string on his shirt.
Really mad.
Steve, in 1994, you don't remember this, but when you went to see it in the theater, there was a guy in the back who, like an hour and 15 minutes later, was like, Carlos.
No, Carlos.
Oh, shit. One of my other favorite plot devices was how he wanted to kidnap the Queen of England to convert the bison dollar from every $1 to £5. And I was like, that's pretty. It's pretty smart, but it's also not super greedy. He could have said £25 or something,
He could have made it whatever he wanted if he kidnapped the Queen.
Realistic. Yeah,
I love when he pays. What's his name? The other guy, the eye patch guy.
Saget.
Yeah, he pays him in fucking bison bucks. And he looks so disappointed.
Yeah, but then he burns the bison bucks. It's like, hey, if this plan works, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
Oh,
wasted all those
speaking of
money.
the Bison Bucks, I don't know if you guys seen. I saw that they released a Blu-ray, I think, of Street Fighter, and the packaging is by far, it's extremely beautiful. They give you a crisp, clean Bison dollar in there,
nice. That's
and
awesome.
they have the Bison painting as part of like
Oh, see, yeah, I
when you
want the
open it up,
Bison
it's
painting like on
trifold.
my wall.
Dude, it's like
Those-
really well done.
Those
It's far
lucky,
better than the movie.
those lucky 5 people out there.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. Just
Well, I'll tell
Google
you
it
what.
out there if you're curious.
We got 5 lucky people at least, because there's probably 1 or 2 real people in the chat tonight, because it is time for us to pitch Street Fighter the movie, the sequel.
Try
That's
it.
right.
I dare you.
But before we do, I just want to say one thing, that there was a game based on the movie that was based on the game, and that's one of the most fascinating, like, dog chasing its tail moments in the history of pop culture.
Oh yeah,
to
I
me.
remember that. Yeah.
That, like, they literally did it, and they did it in the style of Mortal Kombat with video capture, where you could play as Van Damme's Guile, or Kylie Minogue's Cammy, or Andrew Brynjarski's Zangief, or like all the, and oh god, just the fact that it exists alone makes me happy. It almost makes it worth it that they made this movie as horribly as they did. But anyway, it is pitch time, so that goes for you guys in the chat, and there are a few up there already. So first off, Gold's Code says, I'm going to pitch this sequel so hard that the next VCR Redux topic is going to feel it. Now, who wants to go home and who wants to pitch with me?
Nicely
I had
done.
to do a terrible Van Damme for you. Sean
Well,
Gold's Code.
You gotta give Sousa credit though. He took the great speech from Julius Caesar, that Caesar was an honorable man, and spun it to say, but you can go home.
On one hand, you got yourself Hamlet right here, right? On the other hand, you got Steven D'Souza's Street Fighter from 1994. Really, it comes out in the wash. They're equal. They're both equally great.
13-year-olds across the country in forensics is doing this speech, and they're winning number ones.
That's so funny.
Really quick.
Here's another. No,
I was gonna say, have any of you guys seen the Legend of Chung Li? What is it?
No, fucking terrible. It's the only thing they could have done.
Okay.
They somehow find a way to, like, wait a minute, I'll bet you, I guarantee you, someone's like, I bet you we can make a Street Fighter movie even worse than this one. And they're like, bullshit. No way. You can't be done. Like, check it out. I got Kristen Kroik from Smallville and Chris Klein. And they're like, wait a minute. He's doing it. I can't believe it. I don't know. He's doing it. God, dude, amazing. Like, it's the worst. It's
that bad, huh?
It has less to do. There's streets, to be fair. There are streets and there are fights.
There's actually streets in this Street
There's
Fighter?
streets in that
Holy
one. I'll give him credit where it's due. And I'm
And,
just tell you, like, here to shit on Chris Klein and Kristen Kroik. But just as Street Fighter characters, like, it just couldn't be more a bad fit. Square peg in a round hole.
Well, being that the only good part of this movie was pretty much Raul Julia, and he's gone, unfortunately, what would you possibly pitch for a sequel to Street Fighter?
And that was VCR Redux for
There are a few. Yeah. There are a few in the chat already, so it's a good place to start. And who else would kick it off other than, of course, Gold's Code?
I'm gonna say it.
Oh, you got something to say?
Robert Downey Jr. for Bison.
Oh, you do this every time. You get the
Listen,
Downies. You got the Downies again.
It worked.
It could work.
Do you know who I would have loved then? Bruce Campbell.
Is Bison?
Great.
Yeah.
He would have been a great Bison.
If you didn't,
I would watch the movie with Bruce Campbell playing any role. Honestly,
he could do it. He could do it now.
But erase Raul Julia. I mean, if there wasn't the Raul Julia as we know it, like if like Bruce Campbell would actually, but even now, Bruce Campbell would be a cool Bison.
Yeah, he could do it now.
So you want Downey as Bison? Is that what you said?
No, he wants Bruce Campbell as Bison.
I'm just saying.
No, but who would Downey play? You said I want Robert Downey Jr.
I'd want him for Bison, but
Bison?
No. I honestly, like, again, I go off of, if you were actually selling this movie, what would create, and to be honest, The Rock.
Well, either Downey or The Rock are going to eat up your entire budget, just like Van Damme did.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You can't do it where it's this big. But at the same time, too, we're in post Marvel world. Are you telling me that they're not going to make a Street Fighter movie that's probably 200 million plus?
Well, I mean, they just made a new Mortal Kombat movie with no real out of the park, like big name celebrities in it, right?
It's an HBO Max movie though. That's kind of like TV movie ish. Like it doesn't come out. I mean,
the budget was insane.
Budget's insane. Yeah, they throw crazy money at these things.
It would have came out in theaters if it hadn't come out during COVID, right?
They could have made him successful.
Probably, yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Mortal Kombat. Have you guys seen the Michael Jai White Mortal Kombat short movies?
Yeah, with Jerry, the 7 of 9.
Yeah.
Like Sonya.
Yeah.
Jerry Ryan.
Those fucking things rock hard as shit. Those
they're really good. Yeah.
When he plays Jax and shit like that, that's what they need to do for the Mortal Kombat. They could have brought back fucking Shang Tsung to do. They did bring back Shang Tsung to do the shorts on the YouTube thing, Kerry Tagawa, and it fucking rocked to shit. It was fucking so dope. They could do that with Street Fighter as well. Make it edgy like that.
That's true.
Kerry Tagawa really made Mortal Kombat what it was, and not to knock on Raul Julia, but like, it's not the same thing in this movie because like you see it as a kid, you're like he's not a fighter, and as an adult you're like oh my god he's dying, and it's like we're watching him die. This is like makes me very sad and not happy and not whatever. It's kind of clashes with the vibe of the movie they were trying to create.
Everybody in this movie should look like they could kick ass, and no one does.
Right.
Even Van Damme doesn't look like himself.
He's the only one who. He's the only one. He looks horrible, but he's the only one.
Well, Zangief looks like he would fuck shit up, I guess.
Yeah,
that's true. Yeah. But but like that, it's the worst. They have the creature in the thing or whatever.
Blanca.
Blanca is so small and just not
Blue Ferrigno.
Yeah,
he has some
They couldn't have gotten like a bigger guy to play him. They could have gotten a Lou Ferrigno to play him.
Right?
Honestly, they could have gotten anybody to
just go to Gold's Gym and get the biggest fucking dude there.
He's literally 5'6" on the Apple box. Like it doesn't work.
Right. In any 90s WWE star would have been
perfect.
Great.
Anyone.
Someone in the pitch. Okay, so
Kevin
in the
Nash. Kevin Nash would
be
off a shredder.
Fuck that. In the chat, the Scorpion Z says Blanca should have been played by the Ultimate Warrior. He's just as crazy and loved Warrior. And I agree. Ultimate Warrior's got the fucking hair. You just put the fucking chest hair on him and it's a fucking done deal. Go paint it green. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Although the Ultimate Warrior was so fucking crazy.
Could have played Blanca.
The Ultimate Warrior was so fucking crazy. He probably would have been like, "No, I'll only do it as the Ultimate Warrior. No, I'll do my own paint, and it's just gonna be what I do in the ring.
Perfect.
It wouldn't
have been any worse. It really wouldn't have.
He would have been like Crispin Glover on steroids, like to work with or something, or fucking Corey Feldman on Ludes. But there are pictures in the chat.
Can I say something that's again not Street Fighter though?
The Street Fighter things in the chat. What I'm trying to get to.
Ease yourself.
Trying for like 20 minutes.
Calm yourself. All right, clean your sunglasses. But like, do you ever see Macho? What's his first name?
Randy Savage.
Yeah, Randy's Macho Randy.
Man.
He looks creepier without the sunglasses. Anybody else feel this way? Like he should have not worn the sunglasses, and it would have worked better.
He's an intense dude.
Yeah,
maybe.
I guess so.
Yeah.
But that's his thing. He likes to like fix his glasses while he's doing interviews.
He
like,
needs them.
And
the cream always rises to the top.
All right, Chris.
Half the time he's not wearing them. He goes like this to do it anyways, and doesn't realize they're not there. He does some of the, that's like David Caruso. If you took that man's sunglasses away, he couldn't actually wear
he would not know
paper
all he does is pull off his sunglasses. That's it.
He needs
that's
them
why
to
he
make a
higher
point.
school of acting.
Yeah, he needs them to take them off. Yeah.
I would love. I dare you, if you're watching David Caruso, I dare you to do a 1-800-CONTACTS commercial. I bet you can't do it. Bet you can't do it. Any rate, there are some pitches in the live chat, and let's see. We got Gold's Code pitch. It's a Bloodsport type tournament with Street Fighter characters and some new faces such as Snake. Snake's level is Cincinnati, and all of the Airborne cast is the background cheering him on. Oh, I love it.
Yes.
Sean Gold, you have kept the airborne streak alive since episode 60 something. I love you to death for it, my man. It is just perfection.
Ian looks
Also,
Well,
the
now we
title-
got that done.
And there's another pitch in the chat, and what a surprise! It's from Sean Gold of Gold's Code. Pitch:
Yes, Goldie.
Bison's currency predates crypto, and now his organization's hoard of it causes them to control the world economy. Now Guile and crew must fight in a tournament to save the world economy. That sounds sneakily like a non-airborne pitch. I was really waiting for the rollerblades, and I'm kind of blindsided by them not being there.
That's not bad. So it's like
That's actually not bad.
Honestly, I mean, really, honestly, crypto would be a way of kind of going about it. I actually think it's a good idea.
Yeah, like how to
Right.
modernize it. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The problem was
we're here to
Bison
talk
had-
sequels.
Well, because you listen to it, you watch it now, and it's like $22 billion. You know, it's
Right.
it's kind of an Austin.
It is.
It's but then I mean that's a lot of money back then. But like now,
that's
He gives him
funny.
4 days. 4 days to come up
Yeah.
with $20
but
billion.
it's kind of like the Austin Power. You know, $1 million.
You're right.
So
Can I
what
just say
if?
though?
Oh,
What if?
I just want to say real quick, Ming Wen, who played Chun Li, she's just killing it on.
Awesome.
On
She's
Boba
awesome.
Fett, dude. Bro,
Yeah.
she looks so great still. She doesn't look
She
like
does.
she aged at all. Like
She's in
at
that show,
all.
Agents of Shield too. She was in that whole run of that
Oh,
show.
okay.
She was
Right,
she was
yeah.
really good in that too. Yeah.
She's done something else I saw recently too, but she rocks. She looked like she was having fun as much as you could for that movie too.
She's
She had a-
perfectly
She had a
casted,
meaty
yeah.
role and she did well in that, you know.
I
as well
haven't
as she
seen
did.
her in anything else, but to be fair, I've only seen like 3 things that came out after the release date of Street Fighter the movie. That's pretty much where
There's
the cutoff is
one-
for me.
There was one PA on the set who, you know, had the the crew T-shirt, you know, and you know, a free cat that, you know, the direct, and he is like, you know, he was sitting by the food stand like, I'm on Street Fighter. Yeah. You know, like, that guy had fun.
That guy had fun.
Todd had fun on this movie.
Todd
Todd the
loved it.
fucking
Every
PA,
minute.
fresh out of film
Todd the
school.
PA had
No.
fun on Street Fighter.
I don't know who took your cocaine, Mr. Van Damme. I'm really sorry. It wasn't me, I swear. I'm going to kick this production assistant's ass so hard. The next
And you
film
know
school
what?
student is gonna feel
Right.
it.
I'm going home. He
Yeah.
gets in his car and goes home.
It's amazing nobody got thrown in prison for the rest of their life in Thailand, considering there's so much cocaine around there. I mean, I've seen the
Oh, I
movie.
know, right?
Right? What's that movie with Claire
Dustin,
Danes
somebody
where they
did.
fucking go to
That's the
prison?
story we don't know.
Right? Yeah. What's that movie with Claire
was that
Danes
PA,
where they
Todd.
broke down Palace. It's
Todd
like-
is
Todd's
actually-
still out there. He handed him 10
Many
grand. Told
Todds
Van
Van
died
Digger
to
Damage
bring us this
actually
movie.
killed Todd.
dude. Right.
Todd's been in a
Right.
prison
Many Todds.
overseas. Yeah.
Right. Somebody died
Todd's
making
got,
this movie. We
Todd's
have
got
no
a
idea.
mohawk now and like 4
Dude.
tears.
Right.
Todd's been locked up abroad since 1998 or
Dude, he
two,
can
whenever
still
this came
be
up.
there.
Hey,
He might,
Todd,
Van Damme.
Yeah.
Todd, tell that
Van
story when
Damme
you're on the set of that
crucified
movie.
like 17
I
Todds when
stole
they're
Van
making this
Damme's
movie.
Right. Right.
Smoking
There's a
cigarette.
whole like apartment building in fucking Thailand with dead bodies underneath it. Van Damme
Right,
dropped
yeah.
them in the cement. I'm telling you.
Oh, dude.
But now
Who's
they
the
got a
landlord?
relationship they can build on, I will
Todd.
say.
Yeah, just
So
snorted
here's
lighter.
another, and I don't suspect this to be a very rollerbladey pitch though from Sean Gold, which is great because if none of us are going to pitch, we got Sean Gold doing it for us. But after saving Shadaloo, Ken and Ryu travel to find their next challenge, a downhill race known as Devil's Backbone. It's the World Warriors versus the Preps in Streetborn. Oh my God. Streetborn is perfect. This franchise does need some blading. I'm just saying, some
Needs
rollerblading,
Needs
some
something.
Wesley Snipes blading, whatever kind of blading you want to do. It could be razor blading.
Right.
All right. I
That
will
was
give a
razor
pitch.
blade.
I will
I
seriously.
don't
I'll
know.
give a pitch.
All right.
I have an
Give it
idea.
to us.
Oh
All right,
wow,
all right.
Ian's taking this seriously.
I'd say it's not a bad movie, but okay. So let's forget this movie ever happened. All right, just clean slate.
Painful.
Pull-
No,
pull the
blasphemy.
pull the paper out of the typewriter. You know, start of Murder She
Taking
Wrote.
off
So
the
you're
AFI's top
pitching a-
film.
You're
Stephen
pitching
J.
a movie.
Cannell style.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I think, what if you mixed? I think this would be a cool idea. If you mixed Street Fighter the game with the concept of the Running Man, and you mix those two together.
Okay.
Okay.
So
I like it. I like it that you're just as much like willing to throw out the lore and the canon as anyone else. But hey, why the fuck not?
But I'm not, because I'm actually going to have fights in the street. There's literally going to be street fights. We're going to have a title
worldly televised.
I think it would be kind of cool, but if you still have the same thing, Bison, right? Instead of Dawson, Richard Dawson, you've got Bison, right? Like, he wants to control the this nation, and he's going to put the citizens on the streets and are going to fight his people unless you pay him a ransom.
Okay, so Bison's collectively captured independently all these different characters, and he's forcing them to fight in this under his regime for entertainment purposes.
And here's where I think it'd be a cool pitch, right? He thinks it's a homeless guy in the street, right? But it's an undercover agent for the army.
Guile. He brings him in.
That bad boy.
Yeah.
Right, so Guile is he doesn't know Guile, but Guile all of a sudden surprises him.
He infiltrates this whole thing, yes, from the inside. Yeah. Okay. All right. This isn't bad, Ian. I like this.
Yeah. And then what happens?
Yeah. Tell us.
I don't know. Todd pulls out the cocaine and kills everybody. I don't know.
How does it fucking end, Ian?
Yeah, Jesus, this is good so far.
Where does Blanca fit into the story?
Yeah. Where's Carlos?
Well, he's created Blanca, right? So that he could, like he did in the first one, but this time it's good. And he's created him as an ending round. Like, I'm gonna toss this in. This will be real fucking entertainment.
And it's televised, because Bison is all about being televised. He loves his image on the thing. And what happens is the people of the country, what was it?
Shadaloo.
Shadaloo, yeah.
So the people of Shanana, they all of a sudden, they start turning against him, and they're like, we don't like this leader. We like Guile. Guile.
Guile for president.
Right. and all of a sudden, then the army comes up. We get a couple of these other characters. He meets people in the streets. This guy is, maybe works at a restaurant in.
No. This is where you're losing us, Ian. These should all be people that he's collectively captured, knowing that they could fight really well in this tournament. If you start making them weird street people again, like that, like a cameraman.
Streets, I don't care what they do, as long as they're in the freaking streets. So it's
if he's a cameraman working for the news again, but he's really a pro wrestler or a boxer. That's a
great idea. The reason for the tournament, him having a game show, is some sort of sadistic world leader. That is a good
go, Ian.
Yeah. I like that.
Nicely done, Ian.
Yeah.
Another good one.
And then at the very end, they go down a hill on razor blades, and
Perfect. And now everyone in the chat's happy.
I knew I'd eventually coax a fucking airborne pitch out of you.
God dang it.
And then at the end, they all go down the hill on razor blades.
Oh man, dude.
In their knee and
beautiful man, you. So there's another one in the chat. The Scorpion SY says, just make a proper live action version of the Street Fighter 2 anime movie and save yourself the hassle. That movie was perfect, which is good. A lot of love for that movie exists on the internet, which I gotta say, it is new to me. I was not even really aware that there was such a movie until yesterday, the day before.
People put that next to Akira. I mean, really,
it's an anime movie, right?
It's good,
people say it's incredible.
That's good, yeah.
So that's probably a good point.
Right. That's sort of what, it was kind of their only other option to make it, because without making a huge budgeted movie, without Van Damme or Star taking all the money, it's the only other way is making an anime, because it's so.
So I think that there is another way, and there's actually another pitch. There's another pitch in the chat, and also some love for Ian's Running Man stuff. So there's two more pitches in the chat, I will say. Gold's Code pitch. Just an airborne video game in Street Fighter style. Select your characters such as Mitchell, Snake, Wally. The preps levels include Devil's Backbone, the skating ring, the gardens, and more. Beautiful perfection. Again, Gold's Code. You've outdone yourself, sir. Another one from Scorpion SY. Chun-Li has gone missing as an Interpol
Somebody
agent.
give Sean's address to Todd out of jail. And, I'm kidding, Sean.
Scorpion SY pitch. Chun-Li has gone missing as an Interpol agent, kidnapped by Bison to convert her into one of his dolls, assassins like Cammy. Guile recruits Ryu and Ken to help get intel on Shadaloo. All right. That's another pretty good one there. Now,
that is good.
I think there's another way to go, though.
What's that?
And this is the more challenging way, right? Because I think like anyone can come along and do a little bit better, at least, than what they did in the 90s. But I think the real challenge, and I apologize to MK2 who runs this stream, that we're going to go a little bit overtime for this, but could you do a 90s or present day version of this movie, Street Fighter, or a sequel, and make it even worse? Like, could you cast it out even worse? Like, Owen Wilson is Ken.
Oh, sure.
Or like you were saying,
you want to put
what
AI
if,
to make
what
the
if
first
James
Street Fighter
Vanderbeek,
movie?
Dawson Leary was Ken? Like James Vanderbeek is Ken. Like who's the worst Street Fighter castings you can come up with? And I challenge everyone that's still watching, still in the live chat. Just who would be the worst?
You want Dawson
Street Fighter
Street
casting?
Fighting? That's what you
Oh,
want.
Dawson Street.
Dude.
It's perfect.
Dawson Street Fighting.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, dude.
You got Van Damme. You got Van Damme looking at a lake with that. I don't want to wait for a life to be over.
You need Creek Fighter. I mean, Luke Perry could have been a guy. Let's face it.
Fighter.
Dawson's Creek Fighter.
Jason Priestley as Blanca.
Dude, Steve Buscemi as Dawson.
There you go.
Oh my god, I love it.
What? You just want Adam Sandler?
Ian Ziering as Zangief.
I just want Adam Sandler to do Street Fighter.
I'm sure if you took, if you just took most of the cast of Dawson's Creek and put them in Street Fighter, that would make it pretty terrible.
All you can do is teen soap people. That's all you can choose from.
Oh, wow.
If they were not teen soap, they're ineligible.
We're going home.
So Katie Holmes is
Katie Holmes.
That's so funny. Nev Campbell is Chun-Li.
There you go.
Oh,
there you go.
Fuck. I'm game. I'm so game for that. I'm not even. You have a problem with that. Although in a serious version, Julia Nixon would have been great. I love Julia Nixon. She's Ko from Rambo 2, and she's in Sidekicks.
Right.
She would have been a great Chun-Li.
She would have been a great Blanca. Yeah.
She would have been a great Blanca.
Anything would have been a great Blanca.
Anything else would have been a great Blanca. A dog painted green would have been a better.
Kane Hodder is
Matthew
Zangief.
Perry would have been a better Blanca. Like
Matthew Perry is Zangief.
Oh God, Ross.
That'd be great.
David Schwimmer is Blanca.
Friends, Street Friends. That's the movie we want. Street Friends.
Street Friends.
Man.
Why not? Why have Street Frenemies when you can have Street
McCarthy
Friends?
is Ken.
Andrew McCarthy is Ken. Oh my God, I love that.
Today's Andrew.
Andrew
Judd Nelson is Bison.
Yeah.
The cast of the Breakfast Club is in Street Fighter. Yeah.
Anthony Michael Hall is Guile. It's perfect.
Oh, dude.
Anyway.
The Breakfast Street Gang.
Right.
Like,
did we do it? Did we do it, Chris?
Did we do it? I don't know. We may have gotten it worse. Can we top it even more? Is there another shit actor we got to get Nicolas Cage in this. No, he's a shit actor, but I love him.
Well, 90s Nicolas Cage was good, though.
No, just make the Mr. Bean Street Fighter movie. Just him sitting in the
Silent
middle
Street
in
Fighter.
a suit. It's just like.
Would Nicolas Cage be a better Bison or a better guy?
I don't know.
Bison.
What about David Carradine?
Oh no! You gotta bleach him blonde and make Nicolas Cage Ken. It would be hysterical.
I would watch it. I mean, I'm not saying
I would watch it.
That's true.
I'd watch it. I mean, honestly, I'd watch him if he wanted to play Cammy. I'd watch him do anything in a Street Fighter movie.
Right.
That would be great.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, Travolta would have been a great, horrible Blanca. It would have been incredible. It would have sucked so good.
David Carradine is Bison. Christopher Lambert is like Ken or something.
Christopher Lambert. Yeah.
Oh, and now they're pitching on this in the chat. Alex Bonafonte says this was directed by Wes Anderson. Gold's Code says I cast Steve as Zangief, which I call him all the time. I cast Chris as Dawson. I cast Dustin as Bison Soldier 2, and I cast Ian as Blanca.
Bison Soldier 2?
I had to be Blanca.
Bison Soldier
That's
2.
awesome.
As long as you get to speak that weird Shadaloo language, that makes no sense.
I speak Shanana.
There go my hopes of seeing Javier Bardem pick up the mantle and play Bison in a modern day Street Fighter.
Oh, dude, that would be
right. Like, come on. If you wanted to keep it in line,
your pocket.
Yeah, dude, I would fucking what? But again, I'd watch him play Blanca. I'd watch him play anything. He's one of those actors. Like, you know, I pitch Javier Bardem and Christoph Waltz for everything because they're that good.
He just played the King of the Sea. You gonna see that?
What is that?
Oh, yeah,
he played a king in that Little Mermaid movie.
Oh, god damn it! Is he? I'm gonna have to go see it.
I guess so.
Chris, if you show up Little Mermaid in the theaters, you're gonna get arrested just because. Let's just stop.
Just in that shirt and sunglasses in the back of the theater by yourself.
What? I'm here to see Ariel. What do you want? Why?
Oh my God. RVR Bardem's in this. I don't know. I love him. I said I'd see him in anything. Let go of me.
Well,
don't kick me out. This is America.
Get the mirror on my arm.
So what if I?
It's not an erection. It's stuck in my.
This episode got so fucked.
I love Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Before I'm off to see Little Mermaid, is there anything going on Retro Fiend related you want to let the people at home know about, Dustin?
If you love Revenge of the Ninja, Part 2 is coming out, so keep an eye for it and check out Part 1 if you haven't seen it. So,
oh my
cool
God,
little,
Part 1
documentary behind the scenes, little retrospective thing we did. It was blast.
Part 1 is definitely one of the crown jewels in the Retro Fiend lineup. It is amazing. God, I love that.
I appreciate it.
Steve, Ian, anything going on in your guys' corner of the world? Articles, musicals, songs, anything, videos?
Like you said at the top of the video, we new record coming out. If you're a big fan of early 2000s pop punkish kind of music, we just put out a third record. You can find that anywhere. The band's Crash Romeo. It was off Trustkill Records. New video, all that kind of shit.
Yes, I am anxiously awaiting this to be official. I may have already snuck a physical copy. But Ian, what's going on article wise? Anything coming out?
Yes,
launched?
literally Fandom Spotlight tonight just released my B-movie challenge for those of you who love 1990s bad cinema and Radio Shack sold computers. Check out my article on a horrible yet amazing film called Hologram Man, a Demolition Man / the Lawnmower Man mixed together kind of movie.
I love that you said like hologram as if he's like made of a cracker, but that's cool.
No.
I think that's a really good idea. I think you're really going to penetrate the Radio Shack computer market there. That's going to be fantastic.
Look, I'm telling you, those computers were cool and they made good sounds. So
is it better than Brain Scan?
Oh, nothing's better than Brain Scan. Come on, Edward Furlong rocking it out in Freddy Krueger like.
Respect will be paid.
Man.
Any rate, you Fandom fans might want to come back next Wednesday at 9 p.m. when we go 8-bit video game style for our last Starfighter episode. As always, if you enjoyed this video, the best way to help is to smash that like button and leave a comment telling us what movie or TV franchise that you want us to cover on a future episode of VCR Redux. And since you're already doing that, you might as well go ahead and like, subscribe, and follow Fandom Spotlight, the Hollow Knight Network, and Pop Culture Punk. Till then, back up those Betamax, rewind those Laserdiscs, and we'll see you at the movies.
Killer Instinct for life.